Discretion is advised.
Good morning, and welcome to this, well, astounding place that is the Mara studio. Out here is the Mara, 3 vehicles about to go down onto the plains. This is Safari Live.
Ready.
Standing by.
Five, four, three, two, one. You are live, you are live.
As I said, we are 3 feeds from the Mara today, none from Djuma. My name is James Hendry, and I will be hosting the show, if you like, from the studio, the Safari Studio. I think that's what we're going to call it for now. If you have a better suggestion, please send it through. Hashtag Safari Live is how you can do that. That is on the tweet. Don't worry, this doesn't mean that you're never going to see Djuma again. It's just that they have been working uber extra hard, and they've got the day off, so they will be back tomorrow, and all your favourite characters for Djuma will be brought to you from there. We've got Brent, we've got Jamie, and we've got Scott out in the Mara today. They're just currently waiting at the gate to get into the place. I'm just looking now at my feeds. I see that Scott has just made it through the gate, so that's very exciting. And hopefully soon we will have some of the Mara's spectacular animals. I've no doubt that we will. I think that they are heading down towards the rivers because the wildebeest, astoundingly, are already here. But of course, to tell you more about that now, we're going to hand you over to the highly irascible, highly excitable, and highly, well, feral Brent Leo Smith.
Well, James, I think James is just jealous that I'm so feral and I get to find all the crossings. Now, welcome to an absolutely stunning morning here in the marvellous Masai Mara. My name is Brent Jamie and Scott. I have the incredibly talented Genre on camera. And we have a special Mara treat for you this morning. We have 3 vehicles out. We have a balloon that is starting to rise and a camera on that balloon. So we're going to have a quick look across. They're not quite up yet, but there they are, getting ready. And Davy, the dangerous Dave, is in one of them. We're not sure which just yet. I'm sure he's going to have a marvelous time. Hopefully he's going to be able to find you some incredible creatures from the air. Now, we're going to head way down south towards the Tanzanian border to an area called Lookout Hill, where the wildebeest have been amassing. So who knows, maybe we will get some wildebeest taking on the murderous Mara River. But very, very exciting. Hashtag Safari Live if you've got any questions for all of us out here. And we are all very excited to bring you this incredible place. Now, I've heard some lions roaring down towards Olololo, but we're going to not head in that direction. We're going to be heading down there. And there were some hyenas whooping somewhere around here as we were coming through the gate. So it is very exciting. I do love this time of the morning. It is one of the best times to be out on safari, and we're very excited to have you with us. Okay, what do I see down there? Big herd of zebra. We've got some zebra coming up ahead as well. Now, one of the most fascinating things is how the hyenas hunt zebra, particularly this mountain clan along the escarpment here. Now, you can see it's very stony and rocky, and what they'll do is they'll find a zebra that maybe has a little bit of a limp, or a young zebra, and they'll chase them through the rocks, hoping for them to fall or hurt themselves. And as soon as they do, they pounce. Now, these zebra are all looking at something. They're looking very, very intently at something. So I wonder if one of the Angama girls hasn't wandered up the hill a bit. Or they could just be checking out the other herd of zebra that's further down to the bottom. Hi, zebra. No hyenas this morning? No? You survived the night? Well done. Good for you. are looking in immaculate condition. Yeah, off the zebra goes. Now beyond that zebra, down towards the Samaki swamp, you can actually see the mist that's lying in the valley there. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? Oh, beautiful. Hi, Doug. Doug is wondering what the vehicles' names are. Well, Doug, I am in Kitu, and I am afraid I can't remember what Kitu means. Do you remember what Kitu means, Jean-Ray? Jean-Ray also can't remember what Kitu means. I think it means culture. Oh no, sorry, that's Mila, and which Jamie is driving. Kitu means stone or rock. Well, hopefully we don't sink like a stone this morning, but no, Kitu, it means, there we go, stone or rock. And then Paka means cat, and Mila means, I think, culture or or something. I'm not quite sure about Mila. And then we have, what was the last one? Oh, auger buzzard. Oh, falling down rain covers. You got the auger buzzard flying through, Jean-Ray? Now that will be a lovely new bird for a lot of you. He's probably going to land on a rock. So you see them in this area. They're hunting for gerbils and mice that are in the short grass. Oh, beautiful. There we go, an auger buzzard. And we should be able to get quite a bit closer to him. So I'm just going to roll down the hill a bit. And I think once I get into a little bit closer, I've lost sight of him. You still got him, Jean-Ray? Yes, you do. Okay. While Jean-Ray shows you the auger buzzard, and that's a really nice one for your Mara bird list, I'm just going to jump out and fix one of our rain covers. Oh, there's a hyena trying to get a buffalo. That's the... There's a newborn baby buffalo, and that hyena is putting pressure onto them. Look at that. A little bit to the left, the hyena, there we go. So a newborn buffalo calf, and the hyena is using that same thing that they do with the zebra on the rocks. So I'm surprised there's not more hyenas. They are going to away from mom. Now that's what the zebras were staring at. Now we couldn't see it, it was just below a crest. And that's why hyenas are such successful predators. They have patience and problem-solving capabilities. Just taking a little step closer. That newborn calf is suckling. It doesn't seem to realize what danger it's in.
Sorry about that. There are obviously a couple of technical glitches. Our very first 3-man safari from here. Now, you can't really see through this screen at the moment, but just down there is where Brent is. He's just making his way down into the valley, and you can just see the sun coming up there. And with any luck, the balloons, yes, the balloon might be up at some stage, hopefully, and we will get a picture from there. Now, have a look at this map over here. What we've got is a vast and expansive area, and while we've spoken a number of sort of figures at you, I think let's do them again with the map. Now the Mara Triangle, which is where we operated last year when we very first came to the Mara, is this area here. And that area is roughly the same size as the entire Sabi sand. So it's just under 60,000 hectares, this area here. But this is the Masai Mara in its entirety. And it is about 1,500 or so square kilometers, which works out to 150,000 hectares, or if you are working in the Imperial, it is about 370,000 acres. So we've got 370,000 acres, 150,000 hectares, 1,500 square kilometers or so of land that we're able to traverse. And while is it doesn't look like it right now. We are sorting out a few technical glitches. We actually have signal all the way to the very far southeastern corner and to the northwestern corner. So it is a vast piece of land that we're able to explore. This here is the Great Mara River. In fact, let's go, I think we should probably go up to the other map because it's probably just a little bit easier for you to see. Come over here. And just excuse the echo in the studio over here. There is going to be an echo today a little bit. We are working on all of these things. I'm going to tell you about these animals a little bit later. But here is the Mara River. And you can see that it cuts the Masai Mara roughly into, well, say 25%, no, a third, and then 2/3 on that side. We live over here, on the hill over here. And please excuse my stick. It's not a very good stick, but it's not too bad. That's where we live, and that's where we're standing right now. Then we had a question from Shelley? Question from Jimmy. Jimmy, you want to know where Lake Victoria is? Well, come over here and I will show you the entirety of this Serengeti Mara ecosystem. So we talk about the 1,500 or so square kilometers that is the Masai Mara. It is part of 10,000 square miles or 25,000 square kilometers of continuous wildlife area. And even that is in sort of conservative estimation, of course, because none of these borders that I'm showing you now are in fact borders that the animals cannot cross. There are no fences here. It's just where human habitation sort of starts. I'll tell you a bit about that a little bit later. But north is to the top, obviously, west is to the west, left, south bottom, and east to the right. And here is Lake Victoria, Jimmy. You were wondering where it is. It's about 60 kilometers away. As the crow flies, yeah. Well, yeah, but its closest point is probably slightly closer than that, but say 60 kilometers or so away is Lake Victoria. Now, I will try and draw you or show you a map of Africa to show you exactly where this fits in a bit later, or find you a map of some sort. But the other really important geographical feature, of course, is the Mara River, which rises here in the Mau escarpment, somewhere up here in northern Kenya, and comes down. And about 245 miles later, it drops into Lake Victoria, so it doesn't go into the sea. The other major river we deal with is called the Sand River here, and that's a tributary of the Mara, and it flows from somewhere in eastern Kenya. I'm not sure where it rises. Anyway, so that's geographically where we fit in the world. Now I'll just show you vaguely where Brent, who still doesn't have any signal at the moment, where Brent is going to, or what he's hoping to see. He started over here. Sorry, let me go around the other side. I'm really making life very difficult for Senzo this morning. Sorry about that, Senzo. He went driving along here. Basically, on the ridge of the escarpment, he saw that hyena and the buffalo. He's going to go down this road all the way along here. Probably, I suspect, yeah, probably this way along. And then he's either going to drive up this way to the lookout crossings. Now, you've seen those great crossings of wildebeest where you've got wildebeest that are sort of falling off fairly large areas of bank. You know, those enormously high banks. And they can be a little bit traumatic to watch, but we're going to see where they are and if they're crossing here, because the entire herd was around Lookout Hill 2 days ago. All of them around here. Here is Lookout Hill, and they were all around here. The entire wildebeest herd with a number of zebras and attendant predators, of course, but we won't worry about the predators just yet. So that's where everyone is. And so the migrations arrived. That's pretty early. Normally we'd expect them here probably mid-July into August, but because there's so little grass down south, apparently there's been a horrible drought. We've had good rains here now, so the herd has arrived already, which is fantastic for us and the upcoming TV shows. Right, so that's where they are, and they will start to cross the rivers. There had already, some of them reached the crossings over here. So Brent's going there. Some of them had already reached these main crossings where if you watched us last year, you would have seen where we were going. You would have seen those crossings that we showed last year, and that was around here. Jamie is on her way to these crossings, and I think Scott also will go somewhere onto the river at some stage to try and find out if there are any wildebeest or zebras crossing. These are the most popular crossings. These are the ones over here that most of the iconic pictures are taken from. And if you go along here during a crossing at the height of the season, say in mid-August or September, you will find and lots of vehicles with very excited tourists taking hundreds of pictures from both sides of the river. So I think that's going to be the general modus operandi for the day. As far as we know, the main herd, the main body of the herd, is still down here to the south. Now remember, any questions you'd like to ask, hashtag Safari Live is how you can do that. This is an ecosystem about which I am still learning, we're all still learning, and so we will enjoy learning about it with you. Brent has managed to find some picture again. Let's head straight back to him.
Coming closer again.
Unfortunately, Brent doesn't seem to have any communications, but I will tell you that the balloon feed is up, which is extremely exciting. Unfortunately, it has a wire across it, which is unfortunate. I wonder if David is able to see that. I'm sure he will be soon. Anyway, as soon as that wire is removed, we'll probably have a look at the balloon from the air. Now, look over there. There's the sun coming up. Is that not gorgeous? It's much lighter than that outside. Of course, we have a filter on this window, and those little sort of white patches you can see are the lights. So, yes, there is still lots to do, but don't worry, we'll get it all done fairly soon. I'm just watching that hyena buffalo interaction, which is quite entertaining. Anyway, we'll re-establish comms hopefully with Brent fairly soon. Any questions at this stage about this rather astounding landscape? Otherwise, we can go straight into the full oh, here we go. JDG photography. Will we be able to use a drone? No, we won't be able to use a drone JDG photography. Drones not very popular in Kenya, and we're going to substitute the drone, of course, with this balloon, and with any luck we will have a shot from there fairly soon, and you'll be able to see what it looks like from the air. I'm just keeping my eye every so often on the balloon feed to see what's going on there. All right, so let's go back to this big map here. As I said, 10,000 square miles, 25,000 or so square kilometers of area. That is 2.5 million square, 2.5 million hectares or so. So slightly larger than the Greater Kruger National Park, but slightly smaller, actually, interestingly, than the Kruger National Park combined, of course, with the Greater Limpopo Transfrontier Park up into Zimbabwe. But I don't think that that area that I've mentioned includes these rather remarkable areas here, which are private concessions or conservancies, and so it's roughly the same size as the Greater Kruger National Park, including the Limpopo and the Zimbabwean section. So we're looking at roughly the same area as we've been operating in South Africa. Down here, the very famous Ngorongoro crater. There are lots and lots of different extinct volcanoes around this area. The Ngorongoro crater, of course, is one of the most extinct volcanoes, or one of the biggest extinct volcanoes. Very famous wildlife area, and in fact many of these wildebeest will actually go down into this area and spend some time in the crater before they come back up here. So in general, this is how the migration works. About 1.5 million wildebeest or so, somewhere around between, keep forgetting, is about 300,000 or so zebra, 200,000 or so Thompson's gazelles, and now about 20,000 eland apparently. That's roughly what the animals that make up the migration. And so they begin here. Well, they don't begin anywhere really. They're, there's no real beginning. But in January and February, about 250,000 wildebeest are born on the short grass plains of the southern Serengeti. But I'm going to tell you about that later, because we're going to take to the air. Of course, he is just floating over the Mara in a balloon and hopefully will not hit that stick. Yes. He is not in, obviously, the balloon that you've just seen. He is currently filming from the balloon. This is his very first balloon time, very first time in the balloon, very first time trying to shoot from the balloon, which presents a number of difficult challenges. So, the line of trees that you can see there, that is the Mara River, and it is, well, just like it is in South Africa, you can see that there are bigger trees where there's more water. And then away from the rivers, you get these floodplain areas, which I imagine at various times of their history have been inundated, but at the moment are pretty dry. And they're fertile, they're full of clay, they're full of nutrients, and that's why they make such wonderful grasses, and why they support so many people, why they support so many animals. Anyway, that's the story there, and as the sun starts to come up, there it is. Oh dear, it'll come back, don't worry. As the sun comes up, you'll see that the grass will change colour. It looks a bit bland at the moment, but it is hundreds of different colours of gold and hundreds of different colours of green. Isn't that lovely? Now, skip age 12 in Texas. You've asked me the first question that I do not know. You said, what does Mara mean? I'm not sure that it actually has a meaning, so I'm going to throw it straight back at you. Skip origins of the word Mara. I actually even haven't thought about it. I haven't even thought about trying to find it out. Anyway, I'm not sure what it means. Hopefully we'll figure it out. I'm sure we will. The language of the people up here is, well, it's predominantly Kiswahili, but Kiswahili, of course, is a sort of, it's a really clever regional language that comes from Arabic. It has many Bantu roots, so many of the words that are familiar to us from Shangaan and Zulu are actually included in Kiswahili, but it's a big mishmash, and it's not a complicated language like, for example, Zulu is. It's much more, I suppose, like Afrikaans would be in South Africa, where there are only 3 tenses, there aren't various different kinds. But the dominant language here, of course, is Masai, or Ma. They speak a language called Ma, which apparently is almost impossible to learn. We'll see about that over the next little while. We'll see how close we can get to learning it. Alrighty, we're going to head back to Brent now, who is out in the field.
Well, that hyena gave up attempting to grab that baby buffalo. Not enough support. Now, we are going to be heading, as I said, way down south today. And so we're going to keep moving steadily unless something pops out in front of us. And I know a lot of people are be wanting to work on their Mara bird lists. So while we go, we'll see if we can find any birds for you. And of course, all the big hairies and scaries as we go. Talking about a big hairy and scary, we have one of those as Dangerous Dave, and he's in the balloon. I'm just going to get past this car, and we'll show you where Dave is. How about us, boy?
There's a lioness coming up, coming towards the cup.
Okay, thanks very much. Here we go. Well, there's a lioness on her way right here. That was from one of the Angama guides. So let's go see if we can see that lion. Now, once we get there, we can show you where Dave is in the balloon as they start moving downstream of the Mara River, that is. Okay, have a look. Let's have a look. Oh, superb starling. That is one we've been trying to get on camera for quite some time. Look at that. You can see why it gets its name. Whoop, off it goes. Absolutely superb. Oh, dear. Okay, sorry, I'm trying to fix my radio here. There we go. That's back. Okay, we're going to keep moving. Now, looking very carefully now. So the Angama pride like to leave their cubs in this lugger here, so she could very well easily be going back towards the cubs. Okay. Unfortunately, Louise is sounding like a robot, breaking up, and I'm just going to have to stop here again quickly to try fiddle with my radio. I'm just going to stop where we got a good chance of seeing that lioness and where she's moving towards. So she was coming down from up here somewhere. There we go. I think I've got Louise back. And just have a quick look for this lioness. Jean-Andre, could I have some gaffer tape, please? Oh, quickly across to the balloon.
There we are, everybody. There's a male lion. David has found a male lion. People suspended above the Mara. That is the most wonderful, if slightly wobbly picture. There we go. That is gorgeous. I wonder if that isn't the iconic Scarface. He's certainly big enough. He's got a dark enough mane. I will have a look at him. I'll show you a picture of him a little bit later. Now, we're still establishing, of course, who the characters of this area are. But the dominant male coalition is a group called the Musketeers, of whom Scarface is, well, everyone says the leader. Well, he's one of them. As we know, there aren't leaders. There's a lioness. That is fantastic. She's sitting in the gorgeous light. She can see the male. I suspect the male is trying to find her. And which pride she belongs to, given the area in which I think these chaps are probably operating now, I'd say she's probably part of the Paradise Pride, perhaps. No, perhaps the Olololo Pride. I'm not sure exactly. Now, I know, well, that's pretty obvious what's happened there. The balloon's gone a little bit low down over her. Just rest assured that that is not a sort of general modus operandi. You'll probably find that the temperature's just a bit cold and the balloon's had to sort of sink down lower than it would have actually. Anyway, there's the balloon and the lioness. Oh, what happened there? Oops, guess you're going to come back to me. Are you? Yes, here we are. Good. Okay, so that's what's going on there. Isn't that fascinating? Male lion. Let me just quickly take you over here. Now, many of you would have come along last year on our sort of safari here. And what we're building here is what we're calling the character wall. This is a very rough mock-up of it. And this male lion here is Scar or Scarface, depending on your bent, and that's another one of his, or that's one of his brothers, part of the coalition. Isn't that fantastic? He's called Scar, of course, because he's got a nasty scar. In fact, his left eyelid, his right eyelid, has been removed completely, but the eye is still there. Okay, let's go back across to Brent. I think he can see where David is.
Well, there is the balloon. So the lines are not too far from there. And it's obviously different lines from what we were looking at. And if it was Scarface that was seen from the balloon, he's very far out of territory for where he has been hanging around at the moment. John, I just need to move off the road. There's a car coming. Let's just give them some space to get past. Ah! And another one for the Mara bird list. And it is a sooty chat. Here we go. That is a female, or is it a male? It's a female sooty chat. Morning, morning. Very well, and yourself? Mbele. Asante. Oh, and there goes the sooty chat. There's a female. The males have a very distinct white shoulder. Let's have a look. So let's keep moving. So Simba Mbele, lions ahead. Ah, there we go. JC Charles says the superb starling was number 43 on the Mara list. Now, there are over 500 bird species that have been recorded in the Mara before, so we've got a lot to go through, JC. So hopefully we will keep keep adding every single day. There we go. There's the lion in the road, heading this way. Hello, big girl. So, one of the Angama girls taking a morning stroll down the main road. Oh, she looks like she's had a good feed. Well, there we go. There's an Angama girl going in front of an Angama game drive car. Beautiful light this morning. Ooh, that is absolutely gorgeous. It looks like she ate well during the night, and she's heading back towards the cubs now that are being kept in the lugger. Oh, she's about to be directly opposite us. That is gorgeous. Okay, she's going to disappear behind us, so we're going to have to do some maneuvering. And as I said, she looks quite full. She's heading back to the cubs, so I think she's probably going to disappear into that very steep drainage system. So what I think we're going to do is keep heading towards the crossings now. We've got quite a bit of distance to cover to get down there, but we will stay with her for a little bit longer before she gets to the lugger. Sandy, hi, morning, welcome Sandy. Sandy would like to know, how far will we be driving today? Probably around round trip of over 100 kilometers to get down to Lookout Crossing, or close on 100 kilometers. I think it's about 45, 46 k's there, and then the same back. So there she is, doing exactly what we predicted, heading straight towards that steep lugger. And you will see quite a few other game drive vehicles out and about this morning. Okay, well, we're going to leave this gorgeous girl to go meet up with her cubs, and we're going to go see if we can find a few 100,000 wildebeest and zebra, see what they're up to, see if there are any other lions around there, or if they're going to attempt to cross the murderous Mara River. Now, Jamie has got a lovely, peaceful view to show you.
An extraordinary view, and definitely the best drive to work that I think anyone could possibly ever have in time.
Ah, hello. Very tiring problems here, I know. But don't worry about it. I promise you, you are on a journey with us, of course. A safari journey, it means. And the journey that we're on at the moment, of course, is a little challenging because of the technical difficulties of operating in an area of this size. This is a completely new operation that we've put together here, and so we are frantically working at it. We'll just have a quick look out of the window, which actually looks pretty good today. A couple of cracks that are going to go soon. Don't worry, here's our first piece of life. There seems to be a moth on the edge of the window. You see that, Senzo? What kind of moth it is, I couldn't begin to tell you. Anyway, most importantly, however, is I don't think we're going to be doing that again. I think that'll be our only moth segment of our time here in the Mara. There you have the great expanse of the area, and David, in fact, has floated probably past us by now in the balloons. Yes, I think he has. And you can just see the clouds in the background there. All right, let's go back up to the balloon and see what's happening that side. Ooh, that looks exciting, actually. He's just floating over the top of the trees there. That's the riverine forest that you can see on the banks of the Mara River. And you can see how much more extensive it is than, for example, the riverine areas of the great Mlwamati River, which is, of course, in Djuma. And the reason for that is, unsurprisingly, because there is so much more water here. And those trees, I mean, I'd love to get in amongst them and tell you what they all are, but I'm afraid the time that we've had has been spent doing rather more different things from trying to discover what tree species there are. But there are the tree species, and look how beautiful that scene is. That is the river itself, around which so much of the drama of the migration takes place. There's a hippopotamus. This is a very nice hippopotamus. And of course there are thousands of hippopotami in the 245 miles or so of the Mara River. But what we're looking for there, of course, is everyone's favorite villain. That is the great crocodile. Some of the biggest crocodiles in the world are found here. In Africa are found here. The biggest crocodile in the world is the saltwater crocodile of Australia. But everything's a bit terrifying in Australia, including the people. No offence, ex-ranger. I'm just joking. But here, because there is so much to eat, such an abundance of food, the crocodiles of the Mara River do tend to get very large indeed. But they become big anywhere, actually, so you'll find just as bigger ones in the Kruger. MJ, you say, can I point out a marula tree? MJ, pointing at anything from where I'm sitting versus where David's sitting is going to be difficult. But I'm not sure that I've ever seen a marula tree out here. I'm not sure that they occur, actually. I'll have to find out about that, but I don't think that they occur this far north, to be honest. The predominant trees of the plains, of course, the shepherd's tree and then a balanites or a torchwood tree of sorts. It's different from the torchwood we get down in south. But yeah, I don't think that you get marula trees here. Lots of fig trees, probably quite a few Diospirus or jackalberry species, not the same ones again as we get down south. Lots of croton, which is you'll find in Botswana. You will find them in southern Africa. What else would we find? Probably quite a few combretum trees as well. Definitely some combretums. And otherwise, I don't know what those tall trees are. I think the major fruiting trees would be figs, probably. But we do have a forest of probably similar sort of construction, if you like, just near. And so we'll probably take a look there and see if we can't find out what the trees are in there. And then we'll be able to tell you what these ones are. Right, now Infinity Killer, you're wondering why, and many of you are wondering why it is that why we are not on foot here. I'm just going to hold that thought and just demonstrate to you how that river bends. It bends back on itself countless times, and it will eventually form oxbow lakes. For example, that part of the river will eventually break through that bank, the one that's disappearing to the right-hand side of your screen, and it'll form oxbow lakes. But because it winds back on itself so many times, you'll find this enormous swathe of green on either side of it. Not that the whole place isn't green, but this, of course, a slightly richer green area than some of the others. There seems to be an animal bottom left there, but I think it's disappeared. Right, now the reason we aren't on foot is that simply we're not allowed to be on foot. So yeah, nobody goes on foot out here in the Mara. We could possibly do some on-foot stuff quite near the camp. That would be possible. There are animals near camp. There are no fences. We drive through a gate in the morning, but the gate is just a piece of it's a boom across a road. But there's no reason the animals can't come to and from. And so what we are doing at the moment is not doing any walks. We may expand to doing some walks up on the escarpment here at some stage, but I'm not sure if that will happen. Many of you are asking who the cameraman in the balloon is. Well, it's David. I keep referring to David, and that's who I'm referring to. David Eastaugh, David Norman Eastaugh, no less, is up there in the balloon, and this is his very first balloon ride and his very first opportunity to shoot from the balloon. I think he's doing a remarkably good job, especially now that he's got rid of the wire that was across the lens. And many of you wondering if we will be able to see leopards in trees from a balloon. Well, I suppose it depends on the leopard in the tree, really. If it was the leopard in a tree in the middle of your screen there, I imagine you'd need a Hubble Space Telescope to see it. But certainly it would be possible. Leopards will move through those clearings in the rivers. There are very few roads through these thickly wooded areas, which means, of course, that we don't tend to see too many leopards, unfortunately, because that's where you'd find them. You'd find them wandering gently through those areas. But unfortunately, there aren't many roads through them, so we don't see a great deal of leopard, but we do find them from now to and then. All right, Jamie Patterson is down in the valley floor, and she's got a sight of the balloons and, of course, the great expanse of the Mara beyond.
The balloons in the great expanse of the Mara. Now, I don't know much about spotting leopards from the balloons, but for those of you that are keen birders, I've been told by somebody who researches birds of prey that the balloon is the best way to see Pell's fishing owls, which is definitely a new bird for many of you for your bird lists. My name is Jamie. Let's try this all again. And this morning we have Manu on camera with me, and we are heading out in the general direction that the balloons are flying in, because up ahead is the Great Mara River and of course the zebra making their way to go across those crossings just below Serena. So if we go in towards the balloons there, Manu, thereabouts, you can see where that thick tree line is just past the balloons, and there's a Serena on the hill at the back, and that is where we are aiming to be this morning. So we're going to head out. Oh, look at that, you can see thousands of zebra underneath the balloons. Look at that. The landscape is just dotted with animal life. Those are not zebra, those are buffalo. I'm pretty sure those are buffalo. Let's go and get a bit closer and find out. One thing we've had to work on here is our long-distance vision. Long-distance eyesight. I don't have to look too far, though, because there's also a couple of hundred zebra making their way down out of the mountains. They sought refuge there last night, and now they've all started streaming down in single file, or almost orderly single file. And of course, wherever you get a large gathering of animals, whether it be Glastonbury or the Masai Mara, you see lots of things happening, and lots of noises coming from the zebra as well. I've seen, there you go, see, scuffles at the back. Actually quite a serious scuffle. And that's inevitable when you get animals up into each other's personal space, in each other's proximity, especially with zebra. Zebra are angry creatures. And they like to bite and they like to kick. Even when it's just somebody who happened to get a little bit too close to them, which is exactly what we're going to do. Not get too close, but we are going to get closer. Don't forget to send through your questions. We don't know what the morning's going to hold, but I'm sure it's going to be very, very exciting.
Back we are.
One of the
Jamie's going, like I said, she's going down here, watching the river, and you can see here how it does bend back on itself all the way as it goes down in a general sort of diagonal from northwest to southeast. Here's the Sand River over here, and the Mara eventually sort of turns there and goes down south across towards Lake Victoria. Let me finish my migration story for those of you who are unfamiliar with it. So as I said here, we start in January and February with the birth of the wildebeest, some 250,000 in this area around January and February. Then they sort of mill about the place, and by the time, say, April comes along, they are massing on the banks of the Grumeti River. Now, this is not necessarily a completely regular movement. It doesn't happen like this every single year, but this is the basic way it happens. So when people say, what's the best time to come to the migration? When should I be here to see the migration? Well, it's quite difficult to say, of course, because it does vary depending on the weather and depending what's going on here. So they head up to the banks of the Grumeti River, where we will leave our story now as we go back to the balloon. There we are. Good. And now we are in the balloon. Apparently there's a hippo. There are a whole lot of hippo. There they are. You can see them there. We're going over another bend. I'm hoping we're going to see one of those massive crocodiles. Was that a pod of hippo? No, there's one hippo. I think there was rocks in the bottom left-hand side there. Just making its way gently along the water. I'm not sure why it should be doing that, but I guess it's easier than walking on the bank, probably. That's why. You can see those very steep banks. Now, because of those very steep banks, the areas that the wildebeest and zebra choose to cross are almost entirely predictable. There's a crocodile getting out of the way of the hippopotamus. That was a good idea if the croc was a little croc. Because of those banks, they are pretty obvious places that animals come down to cross. There you can see sort of middle and right of the screen where that massive pod of hippos is. You can see a place where animals come down to drink. But you can see how it would be a completely and utterly ineffective crossing spot. The animals could go into the water, but they'd never get out the bank the other side. And most of the river is like that. And there are places where the wildebeest cross every single year. There are 3 or 4 close by to where Jamie was going. She was talking about Serena, which of course is the headquarters of the Mara Triangle area. I'll point that out to you on a map shortly once we've finished these rather wonderful views of the hippo pods. And then further down south, of course, where Brent is going, there's some other big crossings where the banks are very steep indeed. So Brent's heading down towards the steep ones. That normally happens around about sort of July time into August, and then in September they're up here. But this year, like I said, they're here a little bit earlier than they would have been perhaps normally. And this is why when people say, when is the best time to come and see the migration, it's a totally impossible question to answer, because these animals move to and fro at different times of the year, depending on the weather, depending on what grasses are growing where. I mean, it can be probably varied by sort of things as innocuous, if you like, as 1 or 2 thunderstorms in a particular area. Now, we're going to go and look at Brent's picture of the balloon. No, that's me. And that's back at the balloon. Right, well, there it is. There's the balloon floating gently past. Doesn't it look like the best possible way to be viewing this landscape?
We're live with our shots, still on James' audio.
I'm hoping to go in a balloon sometime. And you can see they don't fly very high above the ground. Sometimes up to about 50 meters, 150 to 200 feet or so. But normally it's probably about 30 meters above the ground, about 100 feet or so. Now, whether Dave's in that balloon or not, I'm not sure. It might have been the one in front, it might have been that one, I'm not sure. Now, these balloons come from Little Governor's Balloon Safaris, and they operate from the northwestern section, and because the prevailing wind is a general sort of nor'wester, if you like, it's blown from the north.
They're having a proper break.
Now, the thing about the
good, I
balloons
guess.
is that they are rather ethereal experiences. So there's the balloon flying over those hippo. We can't stop and look at the hippo for long, because of course you cannot stop the balloon, you cannot steer it, you cannot tell it where to go other than up or down. So it's kind of it's a fleeting glimpse, if you like, and I quite like it as a metaphor for time passing in our lives, when we tend not to be particularly cognizant of the moment. And I think the balloon is a wonderful way to think about how to live in the moment. You have these wonderful times, and then they just pass you by, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Isn't that great? I think that's beautiful. Righty, we're experiencing 1 or 2 technical issues, so you're going to stay with me and the balloon safari. Right, so we're swinging around now to the east, and now David is going, swinging around to the south. Oh, some birds. I'm not sure what they are. Can't see at this stage. It's well done, David. Look like vultures, actually. Oh, that's quite nice. And remember, for those of you who do keep a bird list, some interesting vulture species that we get here. The most notable one that you wouldn't have seen before, of course, would be the Ruppel's griffon vulture, which looks not unlike a white-backed vulture or cape vulture. I think it's much more richly coloured, though, but it looks inescapably vulturine. What else can we see there? This is a prime leopard territory, of course. It's also a prime black rhino habitat, although we tend to see them much more out in the open. I think that's because we don't do a huge amount of operating. There's a buffalo. We don't operate a huge amount in these woodland areas. So there's an enormous buffalo. Now, the buffalo don't weigh, I don't think, any more than the ones do in South Africa, but they've certainly got much wider horns than the ones we find down south in South Africa. That is a guest in the balloon whose back of the head has just made a world premiere on the internet. He probably doesn't know about that. And, well, he looks
actually quite cool.
A bit of bed hair, really, so he's probably quite pleased that he doesn't know he's been on TV. He must brush his hair in the mornings. And this area that we're going over now is a little bit of a swamp. And the river, because it winds its way like this, tends to leave these wonderful swampy areas out of which you can see an egret disappearing there. And in the swamps, you'll find waterbuck, you'll find hundreds of species of water birds. As Brent said, almost 500 species been spotted in the Mara. And that looks like a sacred ibis, actually. It is a sacred ibis. Yes, there are people on safari. And I just, there's a huge amount of feeling of huge excitement in the mornings. And it's different from the south because it's so open. You can see everybody else almost. So it's like this camaraderie which happens here, which is very exciting. Now, speaking of camaraderie, we're going to ask you to be very camaraderous, if that is in fact a word, because we're having a technical glitch. We're going to have to reset everything this side, so we're going to go to the technical loop for a little while. Please don't go anywhere. We will be back with you shortly. And there is Brent Leo Smith hieing his way down towards the south. Does he have a GPS feed on him? I think he might, actually. Let's just have a look. I think, did he say it was in Milo or Quito? I can't remember. Anyway, so he doesn't have a GPS feed. Anyway, he's heading way down towards the south. Now, those hills that you can see in the background, top left, that's around about where Serena is, the headquarters. And so that might actually be Jamie. I think that is Jamie going down towards, no, Jamie's got an elephant. Let's go and see Jamie's elephant.
Link. We do indeed have an elephant, and a beautiful view behind it. And sometimes the Mara dictates its own pace. We're rushing along towards the south, but it's difficult to be in a hurry when you've got views like this to enjoy. Lots of herds of elephants around. We're going to see plenty of them on our way towards the river. And that just flew past, by the way, was a yellow-throated longclaw, one of the most common bird species that we see here, which is so interesting. A nice rare bird for Djuma, and a very common bird here. I'm going to move closer to these elephants. I'm just waiting for another vehicle to move along, and then we'll make our way just that little bit closer. It's amazing. There's 2 youngsters in this herd. And now that they've crossed the road, they have almost completely disappeared in the grass. Good morning. Yeah, let's go get a little bit closer. There's more on their way, and some coming up from the right of me as well. If we get ourselves into a nice position, they'll cross the road right in front of us, I would say. And while we have a look, oh, Manu, can we put that bird on camera quickly, please? Sorry, that one's sitting over there. Where'd it go? Did it fly away? There it is. There you go. There's a yellow-throated longclaw, the one that flew earlier. Nice one for some of you to add to your bird lists. Not, of course, what we're going to be stopping for all that frequently, but nice to just enjoy a moment with it. And sky doogie on the note of how we plan out our day, you would like to know, do we plan in advance? How do we decide where to go? Combination of things, and I'm just going to have to move out of the road quickly. The sky, we plan our days. Yes, we do plan our days, as you know. Often things don't go according to plan. Sorry, oh, it's okay, he's made his way past us. Hi. Let me just shift ever so slightly. As you know, things going according to plan. We plan on Djuma as well. Whenever we head out, we plan which way we're going to go. It very, very seldom works that way. But out here, one of the big things that dictates which way one of the big things that dictates exactly where we go will be where the herd is and where the predators are, where the lions are, where we know they were last seen. Last thing quickly, because apparently some of you didn't hear it, a yellow-throated longclaw was the bird that Manu put beautifully on camera. Okay, and there's our elephants. Very peaceful. Alright, we've got a long way to go, I think, for now. Oh no, hold on. Let's not rush off just yet, because the rest of the herd is on their way. There they are, slowly making their way towards us. Daphne, I have been looking absolutely everywhere. So Daphne obviously saw or heard about the sighting that we had with a brand new baby elephant just born. And although we didn't see the actual birth, we saw every second afterwards, right up to the point that it took its first stumbling steps. Daphne, I've been looking everywhere for that baby elephant. I'm sure it's been around, and I'm sure that I've seen it, and it becomes quite easy to recognize the individual elephants that we see here. This female, for example, with the one tusk, I'm pretty sure I see her absolutely every single day. Oh, we're going to carry on, and of course I'll always be looking for baby elephants, but it sounds as though Scotty has had some luck with baby lions.
Hello everyone, and what a great start we've got off to. I cannot believe it, actually. We're only probably a kilometer away from Jamie. I saw her with her herd of elephants not far behind us, and Viam and I saw some vehicles up in this direction, and lo and behold, when we got here, there's this incredible pride of lions. So we've literally just arrived. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Scott. It's so good to be back. And to be honest, I cannot believe I'm sitting here in the Masai Mara with all of you guys joining. And the first animal I get to show you is one of the most iconic species of the Mara, the lion. I'm guessing this could be some members of the Angama pride, just judging from where we are at the moment. But I only got into town 2 days ago, so there's a lot I need to learn. And I'm looking forward to experiencing the journey of learning who all these animals are and all the intricacies of this incredible place that we are so fortunate to be able to explore. As you can see, the bellies are swaying from side to side, indicating that they've probably had a successful night out. And now they could be heading in search of water or possibly some shade. Hello, Wendy. You would like to know how it feels to be back. And to be honest, it feels like I'm in a bit of a dream, Wendy. I cannot believe we are here, and I'm so impressed with the Safari Live crew for making this all happen. The guys have been working very long hours to get everything up and running here. And now we get to enjoy the spoils of all the hard work. I'm not sure if any of you managed to count those younger cubs. I think I saw about 5. Let's try and work out now how many there are. So it's one lioness in the front, and then Another one behind, so that's 2, and that's the first little cub. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Can you believe it? And there's even one more lagging behind at the back. So 8 little cubs. They look to be about 3 or 4 months old roughly. And 3 beautiful big lioness. Look at that view. So I've just heard that there should be about 10 of these cubs in total, but I only managed to count 8. It could be that my abacus is a bit faulty.
3 cubs are really small.
Okay, and VM's just helped out by saying that some of the cubs are quite a lot smaller. And I did forget to mention that it is VM on camera. Great to be teamed up with him again. We've spent many hours together in the bush trying to capture beautiful moments like this. Well, what a playground we're in, what a good start we've got off to. It's not it appears that these lionesses are not too sure what they actually would like to do. Let me scoot forward a bit and see if we can't get a view down this little gully that they're in. See if they're not trying to actually find something to drink, which could well be the case. If they had a big meal last night, just like us, it's quite useful to be able to wash down a big meal with some liquids. Quite a few vehicles have already come onto the scene here, and we need to be grateful for that, because if it wasn't for them, we would have not been led to this area and the beautiful sighting of these lions. As you can see, it's quite a deep gully now that we've pulled alongside it. And isn't it fascinating how quickly those lions can disappear, although VM's done a good job to find another one. I'm guessing they could be in search of water. It was one lioness that definitely jumped down into that gully, it appeared. Well, who knows, maybe they're simply wanting to cross. You can see she's trying to calculate her path to negotiate down into the gully, and it evidently doesn't seem too easy. Beautiful golden light on her. You can see she's panting quite heavily. I mean, she hasn't been expending too much energy. They've hardly been moving around with much vigor. But the problem is she's got so much food in her belly that it's causing her to take shorter breaths than she normally would. And therefore a higher rate of breathing is usually found when they are full-bellied. Oh, there she goes. Will we get another glimpse of her? I think VM's chosen the perfect spot there. I think quite a few of the vehicles need to learn what exactly we're doing here. A lot of people stop to try and say hello, which is what happened there. Hello, John. You would like to know what's caused this gully, and it's basically just a kind of a spring or a stream that's been flowing over the years, and as time goes by, it's carved its way through this open plain. To our left there's quite a big swamp or spring almost, and that feeds into this little gully which creates a river, and I guess eventually it will join into the Mara River, which is in the same direction that the camera's pointing now, down this gully, somewhere in and along those tree line that you can see. Okay, well, while we reposition and try and find out where this pride of lion are going to go, we are going to send you back to Brent, who sounds like he's got to a very exciting situation. Enjoy.
we're on our way to an exciting situation. We're just bypassing some of the Serena crossings and the
Sorry about that. Promise it'll be fixed soon. Okay, so let me show you where Brent is now. Brent has driven along here. Well, first let me show you where Scott is. Scott is up there, roughly. Jamie is somewhere on her way towards where Brent was. Brent is heading down here. But when he said he was at one of the Serena crossings, what he means is he's by, here is Serena, that's the headquarters of the Mara Triangle, which is the area we're in right now. He's just bypassing these crossings here. It's cul-de-sac crossing, main north, main south, dusty and picnic crossings, and we are going to have crossing cameras at these areas fairly soon, which is very exciting. And so soon we will be able to have a feed coming out of these crossings. So as soon as there is some kind of crossing, we'll leap into this studio and we'll bring it to you live, probably on Facebook. So that's what's going to be happening there. So we're going to drive, Brent is driving along there like that, and then he will head down further to the south towards these crossings over here. All right, so let's go back to the balloon. I think it's about to land, so we'll probably only get one or two more shots from there. Let's head straight up. There we are. David is still in his balloon, and you can see lots of zebras there. That escarpment you can see is the Olololo escarpment. And initially I thought it was part of the Rift Valley when I got here, but it isn't. It is, well, I'm not, probably, according to Graham Wallington, is where a great flow of lava stopped some, well, many millions of years ago. And I think that's quite a nice way of thinking of it. I think probably that's exactly what it is. Anyway, that's the escarpment there, and it's down on the valley floor that all of the action occurs. There is a herd of zebra. Some of them are the forerunners, of course, of the migration herds that come up here, about 2 million animals in total. And the zebra, they say, come in front of the herd because they like the longer grass, and the wildebeest come just behind them because they like the shorter stuff. Yeah, I suppose that could... Ooh, cheetah. No, serval. Ha, that's fantastic. Look at that. How wonderful. Serval running roughly the same speed as a cheetah. Getting into the long grass where it will settle. There we go. Just felt a little bit exposed out in the open. And of course there are many, many different kinds of rodents, or mice if you like, that the serval will try and eat. And Graham Wallington was trying to tell me how I needed to fit the mice of the Mara into the migration story. And of course the only thing that I could conjure up was this thought of millions of them coming streaming out of through the grasslands, millions of mice, and the terror that it would that it would cause to all the people of this area. I can guarantee you that the tourists that keep this place alive would disappear in a heartbeat if they thought that there were 5 million mice heading towards them. All right, the balloon is going down now. I'm purposely going down. It's landing as it starts to get a bit warmer. They're going to have a champagne breakfast. I'm sure David will refuse once or twice before then taking part in whatever festivities they have there. In fact, I don't think he'll refuse at all. I think he'll accept gladly. Right, so that's the story here, and they are going to land somewhere around here, I think. Yeah, they'll probably land around there. I don't have a balloon effigy, so you're just going to have to use, well, I'll tell you what, we'll use a male lion effigy, because we did see a male lion from the balloon. There. They'll be landing somewhere around there, and the champagne cork will be going. And David will be saying, oh, well, I shouldn't, but I think I will. Because, of course, that's what you should do if you've just been in a balloon overhanging the Masai Mara. Right, now I'm not sure what we're going to do now. Okay, we are going to go back to the lions with Scott.
Somewhere in this golden sea of grass, there she is. The lions, they are slowly moving towards us. And isn't it absolutely beautiful to see them moving through this very long grass? And it's interesting, you should take note of all the scenery as it stands today, because it is going to change drastically as the hundreds of thousands of wildebeest and zebra reach this area. I'm told they're not too far away, so soon these lions will have plenty of food. But as the weeks roll on, they're going to have less and less cover to use because the wildebeest and zebra will eat all of this grass. So enjoy these scenes while they last, because they will change in the coming weeks, and I cannot wait to share and experience the awesomeness of this migration and the spectacle that it is with all of you. I'm guessing there's some lioness vocalizing very softly behind her, and that's possibly why she's pricked up her ears and is looking back in the direction of where the rest of the pride is coming from. She seems to be a little bit ahead of the rest of them. Well, as these lions move along the edge of this gully or lugger, as the term that is used in Kenya, Sky would like to know if the cubs run any risk of being washed away by a downpour or a flood if moving down there. And Sky, certainly they do. Thankfully, their parents are quite tuned in with the weather, so as long as the parents are there, I think that would help greatly. It's when cubs are stashed in kind of little root excavations or little caves in these gullies that they could be washed away if the mothers are away feeding or looking for food. So I think it is sadly something that does happen from time to time. But with their incredible hearing, they'll probably hear the water with sufficient time to move out of its way. And these cubs, you know, they are still small, but they would have already become quite athletic, and they'll be able to clamber up the banks here with relative ease, I believe. It's when they're kind of within their first few weeks or month of birth that they are quite helpless. And many things, not only a flash flood, but other predators, including hyena, leopard, could cause trouble for these little guys. But for now it seems like they're in safe hands, and for 8 of them at least to be being raised by these 3 lioness, I'm told a few more little cubs as well, means that they're doing really well. And good timing to be raising cubs because there's so much food on the way. So the next few months of these cubs' lives, they're going to get spoilt, and their growth is really going to develop at a fast rate. Hello to All Right in Texas. You'd like to know if these lions have got the foresight or anticipation to know that the migration is actually on the way. And yes, I think certainly the cubs won't know, but the lioness, I'm fairly certain, will know by now that there's this yearly bounty that they get to cash in on. And they can probably even hear the thundering hooves and calls of the gnu's as they approach. There are so many of them that it really does create a very, very loud noise, even though they could be quite far from us at the moment. Okay, so as you can see, the gully is still quite deep in this section. Oh, VM's done well to find the lions, and it seems like they may have found what they were looking for, and that's some shade to relax in. And sadly from here we can't see too much, and I don't think we will be able to reposition into a better position than this. However, let's give it a few minutes. It's not uncommon for lions when they're on the move to take a short break and then keep on moving. I've got a lot to learn about the dynamics of these lions, when they like to move, when they like to get up to things. as each pride will have slightly different tendencies and likelihoods in terms of doing things at different times. Brent, who's luckily been here for a month, I think, has already started getting some good insight into that and already started sharing some little tidbits of information that he's kind of researched over the last month. So it's been hugely beneficial for us to have him here, as he's been sharing everything he's learned with us. It really is fascinating how the same species, like lion for example, will act differently in different parts of Africa. They will hunt different things, they will move at different times, and that, just like us as humans, will also vary depending on the day and the opportunities that are available. Well, what a great morning it's turned out to be. So happy. Oh, VM, here we go. We've got a lioness that's just popped up into a good view. Look at that. Oh, what a wonderful, wonderful scene. I've come from an area in central Kenya that's very dry and arid, so to see all this grass and lush scenery is a very pleasant change of scenery. Okay, so we've just got a question through. I didn't copy exactly who it was from, but you would like to know if it's normal for lions to walk with an open mouth or a closed mouth when they're on the move. And that question came from I did. So good to have you with us, and thanks for sending your question through. Most typically when big cats are on the move, their mouths are kind of ajar or open from what I've seen, and I guess that's just to allow them to breathe more easily, although of course they could breathe with their mouth closed through their nostrils. What has this lioness seen? Is it anything we should be ready for? You know, there could be warthogs that are still coming out of their burrows, so there, even though it doesn't look like there's anything for her to catch, you do really need to be ready for anything to happen at any stage. There could be some antelope, reedbuck bunkering down in these gullies. And even though they are full-bellied, if any opportunity, even the slightest one, presents itself to them, they will pounce at it. And again, that is something that we are very likely to see over the coming weeks. These lions are going to have an absolute surplus of opportunities, and they will take each and every one that presents itself to them. And hopefully we will be around to capture all of that action and excitement as it unfolds. Well, it seems like our patience is paying off. There's another lioness just to the right now that's heading just about straight towards us. And wouldn't it be wonderful to know what she's up to? There you can see I do, mouth open, just helping her to breathe, and also to pant, to keep cool. It is a cool morning here, and there's a slight breeze, but they have been moving for quite some time now, not at a fast speed, but I guess, like I said, with that full belly. Oh, look at those cubs coming bounding through the grass. Now, I think we've just pieced the puzzle together. Look at that! These two little cubs, or three little cubs, I think had been left in the bush behind us. So the rest of the pride went out at night to do some hunting, but these cubs are just too small possibly to have gone with. So they would have been stashed away. And this is just such a bonus. So VM, you say there should be 3 of these little ones. Okay, great. So there's only 2 that we've seen thus far. Hopefully the third will pop up soon, and we've just got so fortunate that they've decided to play right out in a clear spot. Oh, here comes the third one. And I think we're about to get spoiled rotten with some cubs in a very, very playful behavior. You'll notice one's chewing on a branch, the other one's chewing on its sibling. And they're going to have a bundle of energy. They've probably been lying still all night to avoid being detected. James, you've asked a good question. You'd like to know if the kind of behavior or introduction of cubs in the Masai Mara to the rest of the pride would happen at a different time to that of the lions in the Sabi sand. And, you know, would they be introduced sooner or later? And James, it would be very interesting to know if there has been some broad research done on that, but I'm confident to say that each pride and each lioness would probably be different, and you'll probably find that, you know, some lioness introduce their cubs to the pride sooner than others, but certainly would be worth looking into. So I'm going to do some research when I get home, James, and see if there is any hard evidence regarding introducing to cubs at different rates. Look at how cute they are. And the good news is that the direction they're heading in, they're probably going to walk straight in front of the vehicle. There's another lioness that has just walked ahead of us, but we didn't show her to you because, of course, those cubs were stealing the stage. But she did walk just across, just in front of us over here. So it's likely that the others will follow the same pathway. It just may take those cubs with their tiny little short legs a bit of time to negotiate and navigate through these gullies. Oh, here they come. I've just got a glimpse, so they should pop into view shortly. That looks like Mom. And I'm sure not far behind her, we're going to have 3 little fur balls trundling along. There goes. There goes a few glimpses of them at least. But yeah, they're going to pop into a much better spot. Oh. Now these cubs are considerably smaller than the others. I would say within a month of being born, possibly Brent may know more. You can see their spots are still very prominent. They're still a little bit clumsy. Ah. And Mom's tail becomes a great little lure for these fluff balls, and it intrigues them and helps them to keep them attracted to her and follow her. Now, one thing that the cubs will do is also bite onto that black fur ball from time to time, and Justin would like to know if the cubs' teeth are sharper than their parents', and yes, they certainly are. They're very, very razor-sharp needles, just like most, you know, domestic cats and dogs, whereas their parents' teeth would have become blunt over the years after gnawing on many bones, whereas these cubs have yet to do any gnawing on bones. They'll still be drinking their mother's milk, and they'll do that until they're about 3 months old. And thereafter they'll start combining milk and meat into their diets. But yes, at the moment, razor sharp teeth. We're going to get into position ahead of these lions and call you back when they come into view and shoot you across to Jamie in the meantime.
We haven't made it to the crossing yet, but I have heard a report that the zebra are massing there and that there are lions around. Now, this group have already crossed and they've come through to have a quick drink. But I just have to show you something, Manu. Look at this zebra in front of me here. There we go. It is a little bit further to the right, a little bit right towards the road. There. Look at it rubbing on the sign. It was just having the best belly rub ever, and has now decided to rub its cheek up against the side of the sign that basically says don't go off road here. But first it was a belly scratch, now it's a jolly good head scratch. When there's no suitable stumps around or trees, a signpost will do. There we go, that's the spot. Right behind the ear. Oh, now my cheek's itchy. Oh, now my neck's itchy. Oh, this is just the best way to start a morning. When you don't have thumbs, something else has to suffice. Right, are we done yet? No? Oh, no. Now we're going to do the belly again. Armpit time. What is the zebra saying, everyone? Screenshots and a caption. Hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Ah, that's the spot. Are we done yet? No, we're going to do the bottom now. Here we go, yep. Oh, this is the full spa treatment. No, we're done now. All itches scratched. Much better. The rest of them massing around the water. I'm going to race off in the direction of where I've heard there are lions, but Scott's already with his, and the cubs are greeting the females.
Okay, well, look, there's a butterfly catching a ride on a lion. Who would have thought that would happen? Now, this is the lioness with the little cubs, and there's another one just to the left of the vehicle. I was hoping they were all going to flop down here together and lead the cubs out into the open in front of us. She's vocalizing, just gently, possibly calling the cubs. She is an absolute brute of a lioness, as are many in the Masai Mara. Oh, there it is. Look at that. Look at this. It doesn't get better. Perfect morning sunlight. 3 tiny little cubs. And it looks like they're going to begin harassing Mom for some milk, it looks like, or possibly just some playtime. Either way, I am very, very grateful to be here with all of you. And I couldn't have wished for a better start to my time with all of you in the Masai Mara. As VM zooms in now, you'll see those little rosettes or spots which are very prominent on lion cubs, but as they become older they'll fade out. Okay, well, thanks very much to James, who's kindly had a close look at these little cubs, and it looks like, I think, 2 males and a female. And James would have been looking for tiny little caramel spots, basically, just a kind of slight color differentiation under the tail. Sorry, I got that wrong. It's 2 females and a male, and look at them coming bounding straight towards us. Ah, can you actually believe our luck? Beautiful morning sunlight heading straight towards us. Now it seems like the auntie over there, and that action there reaffirms it, is not as welcoming as the mother to the cubs' playfulness this morning. And that's not uncommon for lions to be a little bit less welcoming to cubs that are not theirs, even though they're part of the same pride. I'm just going to try and reposition the vehicle quickly because the other vehicles behind us can't really see. So I just want to try and be fair here to get everyone into a good spot. Oh, well, not a very happy auntie. So it looks like Mom has decided to take the cubs off to somebody that might be a little bit more welcoming to them. Hello to Frank. You're interested to know if lioness in this area will give birth at certain times of year, and again, if it's any different to the Sabi Sands. In my experience, and I've had very little experience in the Masai Mara, Frank, but in my experience in general, lioness and most of the cats will give birth completely sporadically. So I think it's just fortune that has caused these lioness to have all these young cubs at the perfect time, because like I said, the surplus of food is about to arrive, so it is the perfect time to be raising these young cubs. But I do think it's coincidence more than planning. Another lioness has just popped up to our right, and that lioness has spotted her.